Hello everyone, Squared Circle Wrestling is back with another episode which includes AJ Styles agrees with the biggest criticism surrounding new World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk receives a legal notice from AEW. Ticket sales for AEW Collision are said to be really bad. Booker T explains what Drew McIntyre's WWE exit looks like. Huge WWE firings coming soon. Bayley comments on vacant WWE Women's Tag titles, and much more. You can check the complete list with time chapters in the description box below. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel for all the latest news. Our first story for today looks at AJ Styles agrees with the biggest criticism surrounding new World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H introduced a new World Heavyweight Championship last month and announced a tournament for the belt that will culminate this Saturday at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. The new championship received immediate criticism as Triple H mentioned how no one is able to defeat Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship, making the new championship look like a consolation prize. AJ Styles, who made it to the final of the tournament, seemed to agree with that criticism in a new interview with the New York Post. He said, "Is it a secondary? Well, if the Raw Championship is held by Roman, the SmackDown Championship is held by Roman, then how can you argue that it's not? We had to make a new championship because Roman holds them all. What happens if he decides to wrestle for the World Heavyweight Championship? It is what it is, and we got what we got, if we make the best of it. And if and when Roman does challenge for it, we beat the brakes off of him, whomever it might be, then we'll see what title's secondary." He added, "This guy's gonna be on the pay-per-views, he's gonna be on the live events. He's gonna do all these things that need to be done. When I was champion, I was on all the live events, I was on all the pay-per-views, all the TVs. That's what you do. The price for being the World Heavyweight Champion is, yes, you get the recognition of being the champion, but you also have to do the job of being the world champion. You got to be there and you got to do the job." Next up, CM Punk receives a legal notice from AEW. In another development in the ongoing story between All Elite Wrestling and CM Punk, AEW has reportedly sent an official letter to the former AEW champion. It has been rumored for some time that Punk would return to the company after being 9 months away on the debut episode of AEW Saturday Night Collision. The reason being CM Punk's close friend Ace Steel, who was fired following his actions in the Brawlout incident, was set to be brought back to the company along with Punk. But Tony Khan recently told Punk that Steel will work with AEW on a remote basis, which Punk didn't agree, as he wanted Steel with him at the Collision premiere. Having said all this, the former president of Wrestling Inc., Raj Giri, claimed on Twitter that AEW had sent a notice to former world champion with the idea that All Elite Wrestling would sue Punk if he did not comply with their demands. He said, "AEW sent a legal notice to Punk yesterday that he either has to comply or they're gonna file a suit against him." Next up, ticket sales for AEW Collision are said to be really bad. Punk was long expected to be the main attraction of AEW's new Saturday night show, but things became alarming when it was revealed that the former AEW champion had been pulled from the announcement. Other reports noted that Punk was once again at odds with the company over the status of his friend Ace Steel, the only man fired for his role in the backstage brawl at All Out. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer began by discussing the situation surrounding the debut edition of Collision and the backup plan put in place if CM Punk is not appearing on the show. They were told that it would be something that they would know one way or the other within a week. So obviously Daly's place is being looked at as a backup, I would presume, if the CM Punk thing doesn't happen. No one has said specifically that if Punk doesn't happen they're going to Daly's place, but the fact that they contacted people at Daly's place pretty much tells you that's probably the case. Without Punk, United Center is probably too big. They don't have a big buzz for Collision because they put 3 shows on sale. They put Toronto on sale, they put Hamilton on sale, and they put Newark on sale. And Newark has about 3,500 tickets out, which is, you would want more. I wouldn't call it a disaster or anything, but for the New York market, it would be the weakest first day since they've been going there. Toronto was like 1,600, and that's the day before the pay-per-view that sold out instantly. And Toronto is a great market, and I heard from some people in Toronto about the publicity of it. The fact that, like, nobody really knew till Wednesday, and then they sprung up on him as far as the thing and everything but all that. It's like that's not good in Hamilton, where they're going on a Thursday. That sold in the under 600 range. Really bad advances, which is not a good sign for the excitement. And people aren't talking about it. And for that reason, I mean the names that were announced and everything like that, it's not enough. And you know you need, if you launch this thing, it's a really tough situation. Next up, wrestling veteran believes AEW is making the same mistakes as WCW. Former Raw GM Eric Bischoff, on the most recent 83 Weeks podcast, admits that he sees a lot of WCW past repeating in AEW. Bischoff said, "Tony Khan once said, early on after the start of AEW, I'm not going to make the same mistakes WCW made. I'm not going to go into the litany of mistakes that have been made and continue to be made by Tony. Many of them are similar to the mistakes I made. He's making the same ones. The biggest mistake Bischoff thinks AEW is making is going along with the plan to launch new show Collision on Saturday nights. This is another one where if I was Tony and I was looking at the long-term viability of my brand, I would do everything I could to talk Turner out of making that Saturday night show if indeed they're pushing it on him. If Tony's stepping up and wanting to do another show for any reason, then I question his judgment, because he clearly doesn't have the resources. Next up, Liv Morgan and Charlotte Flair set to film a movie soon. WWE's Liv Morgan and Charlotte Flair are set to star in a new movie on the life of former NWA Women's World Champion Mildred Burke. A new report from Fightful Select notes that the movie is scheduled to begin filming in Louisville, Kentucky this June. The film focuses on Mildred Burke's life, career and marriage to promoter Billy Wolf. Charlotte Flair will star as June Byers, who was inducted into the 2017 Legacy Wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, while Liv Morgan will play the role of Clara Mortensen, who was billed as the first women's world champion. Wolf will be played by Josh Lucas, and Babe Gordon will be played by Marie Avgeropoulos. WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross will be working behind the scenes on the film, which is based on the Queen of the Ring book by Pulitzer win Jeff Lean. The film is produced by Amy Scoof and Ison Robbins, and is written and directed by Ash Avildsen. Next up, Booker T explains what Drew McIntyre's WWE exit looks like. The future of former WWE champion Drew McIntyre in WWE is looking increasingly uncertain, and WWE Hall of Famer Booker T thinks a recent booking decision might be an indication that McIntyre's time in the company is almost up. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T noted the situation surrounding Drew McIntyre, and thinks that the decision to leave him out of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship could indicate that his future lies outside of WWE. I heard Drew McIntyre's contract is coming up, and he may be leaving to move on to other things. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. Him not being in this tournament kind of says a little bit of something, right? We'll see how that plays out. I say keep it like it is. For me, it's about guys being able to make money. I'm not looking for the monopoly in wrestling. I'm not looking to keep a guy if he don't want to stay. If a guy want to leave, you let him leave. I think that right there opens up a little bit of everything as far as guys going from one side to the other and back. So if a guy want to leave, let him leave. Drew McIntyre. He's put in work in WWE, not just once, but twice. He knows what that system is all about. One thing about being in the system, after you've been in the system sometimes for so long, you want to get out. Next up, Bully Ray wants former Raw Women's Champion to immediately announce AEW All-In debut. WWE legend Bully Ray said the following on a recent episode of Busted Open Radio about Mercedes Money showing up at AEW All-In. If I knew right now that Mercedes Money had a shot in hell of being at Wembley, knowing that I'm at about 68,000 tickets sold, I'd have her release a video on social media immediately saying, you know what, this injury is not keeping me down. I will see you in Wembley on August 27th. Dave Meltzer has indicated a possible reason why Mercedes haven't signed with AEW is that she may have her eyes set on a return to WWE somewhere down the line. I think she's got the power to negotiate for 3 years. I'm sure AEW would want her for 5 years, but that would mean WWE is out of the question for many, many years. But she's injured, but broken ankle, you'll be back. As far as a free agent that's out there, her and CM Punk would be the two biggest ones. Next up, huge WWE firings coming soon. Trusted sources from WrestleVotes have suggested that it may not be long before WWE look to make some cuts to balance out their roster. It was noted. I don't know names at all, but I know a source that has said to expect a minor batch of releases prior to July 1st. I think that's just business. Hopefully I'm wrong on that one, but I would expect prior to the second half of this year. A few cuts just because of the circumstances that the company finds themselves in right now. Next up, Eric Bischoff explains how he would have booked Goldberg in WCW if he can get back in time. On a recent episode of his 83 Weeks podcast, Bischoff reflected on how he'd book a red-hot Goldberg if he could go back in time. He said, Goldberg didn't need WCW World Heavyweight Championship. If I had a do-over on this one, I would have made Goldberg more of an attraction and used less of him, because I think the anticipation, mystique, and intensity that came with Bill Goldberg was something that you could tap into. At the right time in the right way, you could use it, and let it go away for a while, let it heat up again. Let the audience want to see Bill Goldberg, as opposed to what I did, which was feeling like, he's successful, we've got to get him out there. I would have played that out over an 18 to 24 month period, as opposed to the condensed trajectory that we had. Next up, top WWE champion says there's no rush to feud with Roman Reigns. Gunther is having a dream run in WWE ever since making his debut on the main roster. Gunther won the Intercontinental Championship in June 2022, and for nearly 1 year, he has beaten everybody put in front of him. That includes former world champions like Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and plenty of others. In an interview with Mike Jones, Gunther was asked about a possible feud with the current WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns. He said, I think there's no rush with that. I think he's doing his thing right now and I'm very focused on doing my thing. I didn't really have an urge to seek out that confrontation yet, but, like you said, Down the line, it's one of the matches fans are looking forward to. Next up, John Cena rips current WWE champion. Speaking with Sam Roberts, Cena compared Austin Theory to Roman Reigns' first 8 years in the company, noting the length of time it took for Reigns to finally do things his own way. I was really trying to hammer this home with Theory. It took Roman 10 years, 8 years at the top, pushed for 8 years for the light bulb to go off and be like, I'm doing it my way. I will work with who they say, I will hit my times, but I'm going to be who I really am. When I talk to somebody like Theory, who has stars in his eyes and at 25 thinks he's got a long road in front of him, you really need to start now, failing. Don't just perform. Fail, like a lot, and then one day you'll get it. You need to have like 85 suffering succotash moments. He added, Austin is great and easy to work with and we wrote that together. He was in every step of the process. Fans can see through the BS if you don't believe in your character. It's what I said to Austin Theory, dude, you are young, you are athletic. You will work for this company, you'll do interviews. You'll go X, Y, and Z. I don't believe what you do when you're out there, I don't. He continued, I said it to him personally before I said it publicly. In a room with Austin Theory, I said the reason I came back to Boston is because you can't do this yourself yet. You cannot carry a WrestleMania promo yourself yet, and if you fail, we waste the equity that I'm willing to give. And if in that match I get hurt, I hold up a production, which puts 300 people out of work. Let's do this right. Let's get some equity here, and then you have to start thinking about the angles and what's the most important thing and what are we really trying to tell? What's our story? Okay, I don't believe what you do, that's what I'm going with. Next up, Bayley comments on vacant WWE Women's Tag titles. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championships have been vacated by Liv Morgan and Rodriguez due to Liv Morgan's injury. WWE will crown new champions with an upcoming Fatal 4-Way match for the titles on Monday Night Raw. The inaugural WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Bayley commented on the news via her Twitter. She wrote, These titles have been through a lot. The ones who've held them know the pride and sometimes the extreme struggle that comes with them. But we keep fighting for them, we take a stand for them. Through injuries, breakups, and hopeful opportunities, there's magic and they're waiting. And that is all for today's news. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Squared Circle Wrestling for all the latest updates.